It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. The NFL Draft Day 1 has come and gone, and the Titans made their selection at number 1, quarterback Cam Ward out of Miami. And you can hear his introductory press conference right here on The Zone just in a few minutes. In the NBA, the Grizzlies lost to the Thunder 114-108. Falling down 3 games to none in the series. Grizzlies had a 26-point halftime lead and ended up losing this game once again, 114-108. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045 if you want to get on the conversation. Blaine is out again today. We got Stoney Keeley in SoBrosNetwork.com, StackingTheInbox.com, Hot Read Podcast, and the 440 Sports Network, and of course, football and other F words, which we will have on Saturday. The MegaCast. And we needed an echo there.
The MegaCast.
The MegaCast. Draft MegaCast. Saturday, 11 a.m. till the Titans have their last pick of the NFL draft. It'll be me, you, JT of the Hot Read Podcast, and special guest Easton Freeze as well. We'll be talking all things Tennessee Titans and all things draft coverage right here on 105 The Zone, but on Zone TV, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. We won't be on the radio. They made the prudent move to not allow us on the radio. So we'll also say this. As soon as Cam Ward's up at the podium, I got Jackson monitoring the press conference whenever it goes live. We now gotten the preview at least, so I can see it on my screen. So we'll see here soon, and we'll toss it over to them and carry that there. Lot to get to. First off, first order of business right off the top. I don't know who out there within the sound of my voice knows the YouTube commenter JR. That's Jay space R. If you're a family member, if you're a friend, if you know who I'm talking about, he owes $500 to the Alzheimer's Foundation, Alzheimer's Research Foundation, because Cam Ward is a Tennessee Titan, and he foolishly believes in Will Levis and said that they would not draft Cam Ward. Of course, also Jeremy G in the chat said the same thing yesterday. He's very convinced of it. But JR, $500. So if you find him, let him know. I will not forget, and I'll be bringing this up every day.
You got the receipts, too.
I got the receipts.
The screenshots.
I took screenshots. Yeah, it's pay up time.
Pay up.
All right. That aside, Cam Ward is a Tennessee Titan. Now, full disclosure, we both like Shedeur Sanders. Not to say that we don't like Cam Ward, but we like Shedeur Sanders.
Yes.
We need to own up that he did not go in the first round.
Yeah.
Very surprising. We knew that he wasn't going to the Tennessee Titans, but he didn't go in the first round. Very surprising. So we may be wrong. We'll see how the career plays out, but we may have been wrong in our assessment. By the end of the day, this is not about Shedeur Sanders. It's about Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
So you wrote an article this morning for StackingTheInbox.com titled
How my opinion forgotten it. How my opinion on Cam Ward has evolved throughout the process, and where my feelings have changed on Cam Ward, and that's the gist of the article.
And I look at it and I go, this was something that I kind of talked about on Football and Other F Words over the last few weeks.
Well, if you go back to like when we started our draft coverage, we did the 2 episodes, one on Cam Ward, one on Shedeur Sanders, and even back then, we both acknowledged that these are 2 pretty solid prospects on tape, but that the interview process would be critical to developing the feelings about the prospects, figuring out if they're a fit with your organization. And it's clear that the Titans organization, this regime, sees him as the guy, the franchise quarterback, answered the questions that I brought up on that episode of Football and Other F Words months ago.
Right. And I think that's the thing is that, I mean, maybe it's just because we haven't had a number 1 overall pick, so maybe I'm not as engrossed in finding the information and enthralled in finding the information on the number 1 prospect.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't really have to search very far, right? I mean, we just had Jory Epstein on the other day who wrote a long-form column. The Athletic had a long-form column. Josh Pate.
The stories that he shared.
4 minutes on. He shared a story on Buck's show. He had a 4-minute clip on his own show. I mean, pretty much you were not left wanting.
No.
If you were looking for Cam Ward content.
Mm-hmm.
And everything points to a guy that outside of injury, like that's the only way I see that he doesn't succeed in some level. Now, does he become gold jacket worthy? Does he win a Super Bowl? I don't know. He could just be an 8-time Pro Bowler and Kirk Cousins for all I know.
Yeah.
That's not a bad career.
No.
I mean, let's be honest here. That's not a bad career.
I mean, the thing that we've heard about him, the mental makeup is there, the alpha mentality. What we had heard kind of earlier on in the process was that he could be a bit of a jerk. And as more of those stories come out, you kind of realize it's not that he's just arrogant. It's that he demands excellence from everybody around him. And it's kind of that, like, you better get it right kind of energy. But you hear his teammates talk about him, and they speak glowingly about him. Justin Mello wrote a fantastic piece.
I got it up right here.
He spoke to a few of Cam Ward's wide receivers that he's played with over the course of his career. And all of these guys speak glowingly about him. So you kind of start to realize, okay, this isn't an arrogance thing. This is who he is. This is what he demands and what he expects. And we heard earlier this week, he said that his goal was to win a Super Bowl as a rookie.
Yeah. So Titansize.com, and yes, we will be carrying the Cam Ward presser as soon as he's up at the podium. But Titansize.com, and in fact, they're up at the podium, so we'll go to Tristan after the press conference. But I see Mike Bergonzi's on the podium. So this is going to be Mike Bergonzi introducing Cam Ward, who will come up and speak at St. Thomas Sports Park right now.
Cam on the phone last night. We went through the whole process here with him, and we came away, just really impressed with obviously the player, but also the person that he is, the leader and the teammate. And we didn't think there was anyone more deserving to really represent this franchise than Cam Ward. So Cam, I'd like to come up here and introduce you. Before you step to the podium here, Cam, we have a special guest here. Who did? We'll find out.
See you. How you doing? Well, I just came here because I have a lot of respect for this young man right here. A lot of our journey is similar as far as all the things that he was told throughout the journey about not being good enough. Nobody wanted to give him that great opportunity, but he just kept fighting, he kept working, kept showing leadership, perseverance, and here he is today, the #1 overall pick in the National Football League draft. So that's the reason why I wanted to be here, just to let him know how proud I am of him, and I've watched your career ever since you were at our rival, Washington State, and I didn't like how you played against my Huskies all the time, but you had to do what you had to do. But as far as the number and everything is concerned, I wore the number 1 for a lot of different reasons, and I wore it for a long time, starting back in 1976 when I was in college. And I think I wore it very honorably for the Houston Oilers organization, to the point to where I created a Hall of Fame career for myself. Now I'm part of the Tennessee Titans family, and my Houston Oilers jersey will probably never be worn again. I hope it won't. But the Tennessee Titans jersey is going to be worn by Cam, and Cam will be starting a new, not regime here, but just a new freshness in this organization to kind of revitalize it and get it back to where it was a number of years ago, one of the more successful organizations in the league. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do with his legacy wearing this number, and I'm proud of the things that I did to establish my legacy with the time I wore that number. So Cam, I'm going to be watching your career. I'm here for you. I'm going to help you as much as I can possibly do it whenever you need me. And just wish you the best of luck. And you come from a great family. I think that's where a lot of it starts. And I think you'll do well here. So congratulations on being the number 1 overall pick. And now the work gets started. All right?
Appreciate you. Mr. Mike, Miss Amy, Coach Callahan, Mr. Chad, thank y'all for giving me the opportunity. I know y'all made what was right for the organization, you as well, Miss Amy. But I'm grateful, for my family to, be here in this moment with me. I've been praying since I was 6 years old. So I'm ready to get to work, ready to be with my teammates, try to win some games in the future.
Dan, what does it mean to hear your general manager say that it was not only you as a player, but you as a person that attracted this organization to you and wanting to make you the number 1 pick?
It means a lot, especially, my background, where I came from, on what I had to do to get to this journey. But, it's all, God and hard work. And I just think I did a lot of little things in my career to, take care of everything, to maximize my talents. And so I'm excited to get to work here. Just meeting my guys in the locker room, in the cafeteria already. I know some good things are about to happen.
Cam, you have your parents here. They played, obviously, a critical role in your development and everything. What do you say to them, now that you've gotten to this point? How can you repay them for all the work they put in?
I just think I can't repay them. Nothing can, just what they sacrificed since I was a kid all the way to high school to where I am now. Just they sacrificed financially for me, time-wise. There's days my dad would wake up at 5 a.m. We drive halfway across Texas to get to camps. And so I'll never be able to repay them, but, I just hope, me being to repay them one way is, just by putting on for them and the family on the field.
What's that number mean? What's that number mean to you? Did you know any of this was going on? At what point were you planning to ask him? How did all that go?
I've been asked him. I called him about a month ago, and so I didn't know this was going on, but I knew this was gonna happen. I'm excited that Mr. Moon was able to bless me with giving me this number. But I think to me the number would never mean anything. It's all about the plays you make on the field. So I'm ready for this opportunity with my teammates.
Does that number hold a significance for you?
It doesn't hold a significance. It's all about how you play on the field. The person doesn't make the number. The player makes the number.
Cam, the legacy of quarterbacks that this organization has been a part of course, Mr. Moon, Steve McNair, and now yourself. Does that put more pressure on you, or do you look at that and say, like, I need to live up to something greater than myself?
Not really. All those players, they were playing for the Oilers. I'm a tight end, so none of that pressure ever gets to me. I really don't care what the outside world sees me as. The only thing that matters to me is the building my teammates, and so I never get too high, never get too low. I just want to go make plays.
You've been able to insert yourself in 3 different college programs and be the leader, be the guy all 3 places immediately. What's the challenge on doing it at this level, surrounded by millionaires and guys who've been in this league?
I just think just being real on time with stuff, especially offensively. You have to be an elite communicator. I think that's what I learned, being in college. I think that's why we were able to have one of the best offenses at Miami this last year. We had elite communication from myself, the O-line, the receiving core, and the running backs. And so I think that's the big part is, continue to me get better each year in and out. But I think communication is a big key to us having the success.
How'd you develop that skill for being so level-headed, but not getting high, getting low, and just kind of what is the key to keeping that in the tough moments?
I would say about losing a lot in my life, and whether it's off the field, on the field, I just think the more you never change your level, more good things will happen to you. And, you also got to be a good teammate because at the end of the day, I'll never be the only person to win us a game. I'll always be, receiver catching the ball, the running back running, defense tackling. And so, everybody plays a vital role, and, I'm just trying to do mine each week out.
What is it about your game that you've been able to elevate your team and your teammates in the various stops that you've had, and how will that translate here?
I think I elevated those guys just by, being a teammate, I would say. Being a real locker room guy and also holding people accountable. I think you can't do that unless you actually know the person, on a personal level. But at the end of the day, it all starts on the practice field. Okay, nothing translates to the game unless you rep it over and over. But, I plan on getting to work.
Did you meet any other owners during this process? And did you realize at the time how significant it was that Amy came to that workout and took some time to talk to you, get to know you and your family?
Oh, yeah, I got a chance to meet with the other team's owners as well. But I think just Miss Amy, she jumped off the charts. The connection that, I had with her off rip. My parents, my mom getting a chance to talk with her. And then, she's from my, my part of the area. She's down south. And so, I just think it was already, made to happen.
Kim, the relationship that you developed with the receivers there at Miami, very quickly, how did you go about doing that? Because talking to Restrepo, he said that you guys were on the same page immediately. You could talk without talking. How did you develop that relationship, and what did you learn as far as being able to spin it forward to here?
I would say just watching a lot of film with those guys, and then also getting reps at practice. Whether I know we're going to have bad days of practice, miss reps here and there, but, you got to be able to make it up at the end of practice. But you also got to have the receivers to, want to push themselves like I had in Miami. I'm surrounded by that with Tennessee. I have some elite vets, some elite young guys, and so, I already get to work with those guys. But, it starts in the film room. The football stuff on the field take care of the rest.
You talk about that a lot, Cam, when it comes to the film room, and one of your coaches at Washington State said you're so diligent in your preparation. And it starts there. At what point, did you know, okay, I got to be in there. I have to put in the time. And did you fall in love with the process of it too?
I've probably noticed it the most when I got to Wazoo. And it's something that you do fall in love with because I'm behind the 8 ball. I didn't get a chance to grow up in high school, in college, playing in different offenses, learning football. I really didn't start learning football until I got to Wazoo. And so, as I progressed throughout my career, I started to love it even more. And I just think just over time, I've gotten better. I learned how to watch film the right way. I think I have a great way of seeing space on the field, also getting through progressions. And so I think everything's helped me, to this point. I've also played with some teammates, who's got a chance to play in the NFL in my past. And so I just think it all worked out.
Cam, what is it about Coach Callahan's offense that you think fits your game and your skill set conceptually?
I just think a lot of stuff translates over from what I did at Miami, even at Wazoo and UIW. It's a real quarterback-friendly offense. You see what he did with Joe Burrow when he got him his rookie year. But, Coach Callahan is one of the best offensive minds out there, And for me, it's a blessing to play for him, for somebody who I know going to believe in me, who going to put the ball in my hands at the end of the game to go win it. As a quarterback, that's all you can really live for.
What was the play you were asking him about last night?
Switch verts.
Can you kind of talk us through why you like it so much?
Verticals. We window shopping over here.
Hey, Cam, can you shed some light on your respect for Warren Moon? What do you know about his career, his journey? How do you relate to that?
I got a lot of respect. I didn't know much about him until, the draft was really started since February after the last game the Titans have. Before I called him, I made sure I watched his highlights to make sure he was legit. And so he was. He was legit. I'm trying to get up to his level one day. It might take me a little time, but I'll get there eventually. And so, he's a Hall of Famer, and for me to be in that same number that he was in, it's an honor. And I'm excited that he's here. He made time out of his way. He could have did plenty more stuff, but he made sure he was here for me, and so I'm forever grateful for it.
The fact that he went to Canada and didn't get his shot in the NFL, does that resonate with you?
A little bit, I would say. I also think it was a different time too. The game's progressed many years. There's a lot of plays I've seen. He doing 5-step drops on the center, and they run a quick game, and so that's not what we're doing nowadays from under center like that. But I just think as the game progressed, he was ahead of his time, I would say. But I'm sure he made the most of it, and he did.
Did you have any hesitation about making that phone call? Did you talk to Brian or Mike about? Did they soften the path for you there, or
I didn't have no hesitation making a phone call. The only thing you can say is no, and so if you said no, I'd have just got a different number, and so I wasn't really too worried about it. It don't hurt to ask.
Yeah, what does the term franchise quarterback mean to you?
Somebody who can lead their teammates. For a numerous amount of years, not just, one season. You got to be consistent in the National Football League, and that's why you see some of the best quarterbacks out here like Pat, Josh, and Lamar, being in the playoffs every year. They're consistent quarterbacks. That's, where I want to get to in my career real fast. And, it's good that I can do it, in a quarterback-driven system like Coach Callahan has, and around a lot of good weapons.
What traits do you think you have that kind of typify what a franchise quarterback means?
I think I don't get enough credit for the type of processor that I am. I think I see space real well. Over my college career, I've gotten better at each stop and getting through progressions. And I just think my feel for the pocket is, something that can't be coached, but it's also something that you have to watch a lot of film on.
What does it mean to you that this organization has put its faith and trust in you to be the guy?
That's all I really needed. All I need is one shot. I'm going to make the most of it. And, for them to draft me number 1 overall, I know they don't regret it, and I'm going to make sure they don't.
Cam, I think I read your family hasn't missed one of your games. So what do you think it is about you and your family who will likely spend a lot of time here that fits well with Tennessee and Nashville?
They just like seeing me play football, honestly, I would say. They never missed a game my whole career from Little League. My dad coached me all the way to this point, and, it's a blessing. Not a lot of athletes can have both their parents at their games, so I'm one of the lucky ones out here. And, every time, I get in the stands, it's really the only 2 people I look for. And so, they at the game, I'm good. I'm just trying to go win a game.
Cam, your teammates talk glowingly about your leadership. We asked you at the Combine, how do you feel like your leadership style would translate to the NFL? In meeting some of your teammates that you'll be playing with, how have you started to kind of implant yourself now as we enter the next phase of your career?
Just being a good communicator, I would say. Coming in with confidence, watching film with those guys, then also, understanding them. We're going to have miscommunication, but at the end of the day, when it comes Sunday, we're going to be on the same page. And I just think, the more we can mess up, during the week, it's going to end up, leading us to better plays on Sundays.
Cam, every time you've been knocked down in your football journey and in life, I guess what always internally kept you like getting back up? Like what was the motivation just through every time you've just been knocked down in your journey?
I say myself. It's something that I really do want. I love playing the game of football, and it's only here for a short amount of time. So every chance I get, to step on the field, I try to take full advantage of it. And I never forget where I came from. I always remember where I came from. And so it's just a blessing to be here. Not a lot of people can do what I did, go the journey that I had to go to get to this moment. And I'm excited to play for this organization.
Working with Daryl Colbert, what was it initially that you saw in him, and how has he helped bring your game to the level where it is now?
Well, I think the biggest thing he's helped me is throwing from confined spaces, not overstriding in high school. Even throughout college, I was a big overstrider, when I was throwing the ball, and he's helped reduce that. And he's never changed my arm angles. He knows I can do some crazy stuff on the field. I live for moments like that. But he also knows I'm a gunslinger. That's who I am. That's who I'll always be as long as I play football. And he's never tried to change me. He's only made me better. Each year I've trained with him. I've been with him for 4 years. And it's the reason, he has the #1 quarterback in the draft.
Speaking of which, Cam, you worked with Shador with him as well. what kind of bond did you develop with Shador? And the second part of that question, how surprised are you that he wasn't picked in the first round?
I created a special relationship with him, especially me first getting to know him about 5 years ago when I started working with him when I was at UIW. But it did surprise me because he's a good quarterback. He doesn't get a lot of the credit that he deserves, especially the plays that he made in Colorado. A lot of quarterbacks in the country aren't making those plays, and so when he gets his opportunity, I'm pretty sure it'll happen soon today. He'll make sure he'll make plays on the field when he gets his chance.
If Warren said no, did you have another jersey number in mind?
I'll probably go wear 7.
Any last questions? Okay, we're going to take some post photos in the front, and then Mr. Moon is going to be available for.
All right, that was Cam Ward. Big time aura from the number 1 overall pick. Stoney moaned a few times during the press conference. So we're going to talk all about what Cam Ward had to say and all that when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons with Stoney Keeley filling in. I don't know why I'm going to continue to do that.
All 3.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Stores. 615-737-1045 is the number. Got Stoney Keeley across from me, SoBrosNetwork.com, StackingInbox.com, and of course, you have, is he talking in your ear?
Yeah.
There you go.
He is.
But I mean, like, Bring the Swag was the perfect theme song because let me tell you something. We were talking about it before you got on there about how everything about him as a person, as a teammate, makes you want to run through the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
And big time aura press conference from Cam Ward. He delivered. I think he probably won over almost everybody. Maybe was even like half in, half out. The people who were like probably talking about like, oh, they should have took the trade and, drafted Abdul Carter after they traded back, like all that kind of bull crap.
Yeah.
You saw firsthand that back at the combine and then after the 30-day visit, which was before free agency, you saw firsthand why they didn't go after a high-priced quarterback and were never linked to a high-priced quarterback, because this dude is all, I guess as the kids would say, he's all Riz, no cap.
Okay.
That was the worst thing I've ever heard. They would say he's got impeccable aura.
Oh, impeccable aura? Is that what they would say?
Yeah.
No cap, though.
He is the alpha assassin. I'm ready to just call him that. I'm going to make a T-shirt. I might be the only one wearing it, but he just has that assassin's mentality. He has that alpha mentality. Came across that way. A little note I made that I didn't want to forget.
Is this the one where this is the note I think you made after you moaned?
Well,
across from me?
No. This was one I wanted to get to earlier.
Oh, okay.
Before the presser. He gets off of the Titans jet today. The Titans posted a little clip of it.
Yeah.
This guy still has headphones that are wired, plugged into his phone.
Mm-hmm.
What more do you need to know?
And they were cargo pants.
Cargo pants? This guy's a grinder.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to get, people will probably listen to that and think, oh, well, that's, Rizless.
Yeah.
But that is all confidence, right?
It's all ball all day is what it is. And I am reminded, Zach, to bring up Ron Wolf's name again. Okay. The Packer Way that you and I are reading, that we have a copy of, the knowledge base under which Chad Brinker was brought up and cut his teeth in the football world as an executive. He talks about conviction in that book. He talks about the importance of finding a franchise quarterback. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. Hearing Cam Ward talk in that presser reminded me of that philosophy. And it's clear that the Titans view him as that kind of building block, that they're set to rebuild this whole thing around this kid.
Yeah. Well, and that's some of what we'll get to later in today's episode is like, hey, we drafted Cam Ward, so now what? And everything should be about Cam Ward now.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I don't know if he's going to succeed in the NFL, but I'm definitely not betting against him right now.
Yeah.
I mean, probably early favorites to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm sure Ashton Janty's up there with that as well. But, I mean, you're talking about a guy right now that has done everything correctly. And this is what I want to come back to in just a few minutes is about that trade. But first, what did you write down? He had said something, you moaned, and then you're like just shaking your head. Then you came back and he said something else. You go,
Well, there were a couple of times that I moaned when he mentioned he got to talking about the switch verts concept. Yeah. And I drew it so everybody that's watching on YouTube in the F&M Bank chat can take a look. It's two routes that cross and then go, as opposed to the scissors concept that we discovered where the routes go and then cross at the top of them. So that was pretty interesting. Kind of made me wonder if Brian Callahan's going to be sprinkling a little bit more of that into the offense with Cam Ward. The thing I got is when he mentioned how well he sees space on the football field. And to me, that was a light bulb going off moment, because I look at that and think that is kind of his key to this whole backyard football style that he has, the whole play extension thing that we have. It's not just that he is, to me, it answered one of the biggest questions that I had about him, where we've talked about it before. It's like, why are you throwing into coverage no matter what the coverage is? But this is a guy that clearly sees space on the football field and plays to it and plays to find space on the football field. And to me, that is when he said that, it was kind of like, oh, that makes all the sense in the world that he's just a vision guy that just wants to move around, to see, to pick up things, to react to it, and to ultimately make plays against.
I think one of the things that really stood out to me, and Jackson also has an observation we'll get to in just a second, is that he brought up many times that he's an elite communicator.
Yes.
And I think that is, first off, an answer you don't really hear a lot of people talk about. They talk about, well, I do this, or I do that, or I can do this, I can do that. He talks about elite communicator. He talks about holding people to higher standards. He talks about being in the film room. He talks about, hey, I got to hold them accountable. They got to hold me accountable. They also have to motivate themselves. Yeah. And the reason I elevate everybody around me by being a good teammate. That's how I elevate. And to me, he says it starts in the film room. That's the guy that I feel like, to me, Brian, I can understand this whole thing. I can understand why
going off.
That they didn't do anything in free agency at the quarterback position. I can understand why they rebuffed all these trade offers and everything. Now, I can understand why they required a historical haul, because they have conviction. Now, listen, you have to have conviction to have success with an NFL quarterback, but it doesn't always lead to success. But if you don't have conviction, then nothing else matters. And at least this whole organization has conviction that this guy is the dude that can get them out of the basement that they just got put in last season. What did you have, Jackson?
The way he answered the Switch Verts question just had so much swagger in it. It was insane.
It was almost, to me, it felt like, y'all just watch. Y'all just wait. Till we get this cooking, it's going to be something.
They were like, why do you like it? He was like, it's Verts. It's window shopping. And just moved right along. I loved it.
Yeah. I just look at, and listen, I know that there's a couple of people that gave him crap because he said Steve McNair was an Oiler, not a Titan or whatever. And listen, mistakes are made all the time. I'm sure that he was just kind of just all in on Warren Moon on the question and everything.
It's an emotional day, too.
But if that's the worst thing that he did, mistaking and confusing and all this kind of stuff, I think I'm okay with that. Like everything else, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Talking about how he learned at Washington and about how to run the offense and do all this stuff and how that really motivated him and all this kind of stuff. I look at it and I go, everything. I think it was either Dixie or Duck in the F&M Bank chat on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, which is popping right now. He said natural confidence.
I thought that was a great comment.
And we both did. We thought that was a fantastic comment. So, like, to me, I look at it and I go, that matters. Like, it doesn't feel forced. And I think that matters because we have seen a lot of people, not just Will Levis. There are people still that are defenders on this team. We have seen people in the past that come in and just doesn't feel natural that they're a leader. And we'll get to Justin Mello's article because there's some really great quotes I want to share with everybody that also sheds a light on, from Kyle Williams to Xavier Estrepo, just how much of that is real. This is a real thing. This is not fake, and you can feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like a mindset that this team needs as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not just taking a shot at Will Levis. I'm not just speaking specifically about the quarterback position.
Been missing since a while, really. I mean, like,
I agree.
Ryan Tannehill's good.
I agree.
And I think he did have some leadership, but he didn't have this.
Yeah, and on Buck's show, I think it was yesterday, Buck was kind of talking about how he doesn't know that this kind of presence has been in this locker room for quite some time. And when you hear this young man speak eloquently, concisely, confidently, talking about what the game means to him and how important it is for him to win, and you hear the stories about how he holds people accountable to execute upon a vision, man, it seems like this is something that has been lacking from this organization for several years now.
Okay, something that matters.
Okay.
Before we go to break. And we'll get to Tristan when we come back from the break. Sam Phelan of Survivor and A to Z Sports
shout out
tweeted out, Warren Moon just indicated to me that the Oilers uniforms may never return for the Titans. it factored into his decision to allow Cam Ward to wear number 1, which he kind of talked about in this situation.
Yeah.
This is also very sad.
A little bit.
Okay, that's sad.
A little bit, yeah.
Not going to see the Oilers uniforms for a very, very, very long time, if ever.
Does that mean?
But
go ahead. Sorry.
Moon said the Titans will have new uniforms coming out soon, and there will be no reason to bring back Oilers uniforms, which makes me think new color scheme close to the Oilers uniforms and look similar to what the Oilers have. But
how about that?
How about that? That's what makes me think.
Are they going to do the white helmet Titans unis as the throwbacks now?
I don't know. We'll
I'd
see.
be cool with that.
We'll see. As long as they're not those ones that were around for forever, I think those are the most basic Kmart looking uniforms for forever. And I can say that because Blaine's not here today, so I don't know if you agree or not. When we come back, we'll get to your phones. We'll talk more about Cam Ward. We'll also talk about what the future holds for the Tennessee Titans in tonight's draft. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons. Got Stoney Keeley across from me on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. I got my Football and Other F Words co-host, Stoney Keeley, across from me, stackinginbox.com, and then, of course, SoBrosNetwork.com as well. Just real quick, I've told this story a few times. I think I've told you this story the night that it happened. So I'm at the 104.5 The Zone Christmas party. Everybody was completely sober. It was a great event, very good, clean event. Nobody drank a drop. Mm-hmm. And I got cornered by Kayla and Don, and they were just pestering me and peppering me with all this Cam Ward stuff because I said I like Shedeur over Cam Ward, and I know that's an unpopular opinion. And they were just like, you don't understand. And they weren't really like that, but they were like, you don't understand. I've interviewed him. You got to meet him and blah, 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 blah. And they were just going crazy over it. Yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, calm down. And I texted you. I was like, oh my God, I just got cornered. And apparently Cam Ward is like Jesus walks on water. And I look at it right here. And everything since then, kudos to them. They were totally right. Yeah. The more you get to know them, the more you can't help but love them. And I want nothing for the best for him. I haven't felt this way about a player in a long time for the Tennessee Titans, but I just want nothing but the best for him. I'm getting a little emotional, but I am hyped. When we got off the air just a few minutes ago, I just screamed into the microphone because I was just so hyped.
We banging on a table, hooting and hollering in here.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about this trade and everything, but first I want to go to the phone. 615-737-1045 is the number. Let's go to Tristan, who wants to talk about Cam Ward. Tristan, you're on with Stoney and Zach.
Thank you for taking my call. Okay, he won me over on the press conference, and last night Cam Ward did. I'll give him a shot. Since I kind of said he was a bust, but I'll give him a shot since he won me over on the press conference. And also, we need Mason Taylor. I would love the Titans to draft Mason Taylor from LSU and Jaden Higgins from Iowa State and Cam Scatterby from ASU and Jack Sawyer from Ohio State and Danny Stetman from Oklahoma and the center from Ohio State, and so I think that's good.
Yeah, hey, listen, Tristan, that's a good wish list, and I hope that the Tennessee Titans can, figure out some way to get some of those players. I know that you're a fan of Seth McLaughlin.
Yes.
Not McLaughlin, like I have thought for 3 months now. McLaughlin. I know you like Cam as well. Hopefully we can get those guys in the 4th or 5th round if that comes in. But I'm all for just trying to build out around Cam Ward.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think at this point, you got to add some weapons. The Mason Taylor discourse is pretty interesting because it came out yesterday that he was getting a little bit of buzz as a potential first-round guy. I think he's a fine player. I think he is a pretty good jack of all trades kind of tight end that can do a little bit of everything. It might take 35 tonight for them to procure his services, but that might be a little rich for me. But I do think tight end is something that should definitely be on their board, adding playmakers, adding pieces around Cam Ward for this offense.
Well, speaking of that, I was going to read a tweet from Starbucks boy Jordan Schultz.
Oh, yeah?
But he deleted it. Now, in the tweet, it said teams were calling up to the Browns, the Texans, and the Titans about trade-ups.
How about
now,
that?
That has since been deleted. But this, to me, right here, that is a good sign. Because if you're looking to build around Cam and address other needs, because you do have needs on defense that you have to address.
Do. Yeah.
If that is the case, then you need to find a trade-back partner. And I think a trade-back is going to be really difficult to pull off. But if teams are already calling you, maybe it starts heating up as the closer we get to the draft, but you need to take a trade that nets you a 3rd-round pick or maybe even something better.
What do you think it is? Do you think it is the quarterbacks? Do you think it's Shedeur Sanders that people are kind of waited to see him slip through the cracks of the first round, and now they're kind of posturing to get him as one of the remaining few viable quarterback options in this class? We know Jalen Milroe was at the draft last night. Some people thought he was going to sneak into the first round. Are there people out there that want to buy in on the traits? I thought Dan Orlovsky had a great point last night, tweeting about teams, when it gets to the back end of the first round, is where you see the teams that want to gamble on the physical traits go get their quarterback. And that's kind of what we saw with Jackson Dart. So is it Jalen Milroe territory, or do they want the proven passer in Shador? I think it's probably a good thing for the Titans that there are multiple quarterbacks right there that had a little bit of first round buzz going.
It will be interesting to see, because I don't know if it's just about a few of these quarterbacks or just one of these quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It could be about Nick Amenawari, right?
Tyler Shuck.
It could.
Tyler
Either
Shuck,
way.
QB3, Tyler Shuck.
But I do think that in this instance, in this situation, the Tennessee Titans, if you want them to build around Cam Ward, and they can still build around Cam Ward on day 3, and we'll talk about that too. But it's a lot harder to rely on those pieces, those day 3 pieces, depending on who falls into day 3. So if I were to guess right now, and they couldn't trade back, they're likely taking, if he is there, Donovan Ezaraku. Ezaraku.
Our trusty pronunciation sheet here does say Ezaraku.
Donovan Ezaraku, right?
Yeah.
Does that do the emphasis there?
Who made the pronunciation guide?
The Tennessee Titans did. So
we trust them to get this.
I assume so.
Okay.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Michael, who wants to talk about Cam Ward. Michael, you're on with Stoney and Zach.
Hey, fellas, what's up?
What's up?
I just want to say I think Cam brought the storm with him to Middle Tennessee. It's a sign. No, for real though, I'm a longtime Canes fan, been a Canes fan since '85, and I got to say, we have never seen anything like him in Miami, minus the Natties.
Now, how long have you been, so minus the national teams? I was about to say, I mean, how long have you been a Miami fan?
Since 1985.
So you've seen a lot of Miami players to come through.
I've seen the good days.
Yep.
I've seen the good days, and I've suffered through the bad days, bro. But we've never seen anything like Cam. Also, I've been a Titans fan since they moved here. We haven't seen anything like him since, I've got to say, McNair, really. And I've been Team Cam since they stumped the mud hole in the Gators. And I've been hoping the Titans would be in a position to be able to get him, and my dream just came true last night.
Michael, I have a question for you, if you don't mind me asking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One of the criticisms of Cam Ward, like the turnover-worthy throws, the decision-making kind of deal, among that Miami fan base, is he just kind of seen as one of those guys where you put up with 1 or 2 of those kind of plays per game because you know he's going to give you 5 or 6 more just breathtaking type of throws, electric plays?
Exactly, 100%. His positives far outweigh his negatives, and I mean, his negatives can be coached out of him. I think he's a coachable kid. He listens. He's a natural born leader. He will take criticism and he will run with it.
Love it. I love it.
That's what we love about him.
Man, thank you so much for calling in, Michael. If you're another Miami fan, we'd love to hear from Miami fans, to be honest with you.
Or Washington State fans. Or Incarnate Word fans.
Yeah, there's some Incarnate Word fans. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
There you go. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the trade offer that was on the table by the New York Giants and why I think the Titans absolutely 100%, without a doubt in my mind, did the right thing. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons, Stoney Keeley across from me on 104.5 The Zone.
It is 2:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. The Titans made Cam Ward the first overall pick in the NFL draft last night and held his introductory press conference today, where he was surprised by former Oilers quarterback Warren Moon, who gave Ward his blessing to wear the number 1 with the Titans. The franchise previously hired the number 4 Moon in 2006. The NFL draft continues tonight with rounds 2 and 3 starting at 6 p.m. And you can hear Titans radio's coverage of the draft starting at 6 following 3HL right here on The Zone. In the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies have fallen behind 3-0 in their series against the OKC Thunder, losing last night 114-108. The Grizz led by as much as 26 in the first half, of the OKC Thunder stormed back after an injury to Grizzlies star guard Ja Morant. Grizzlies will try to avoid the sweep as they play again tomorrow at 2:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour 2 of Cover 2. Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here, 105 The Zone. I got Stoney Keeley over here. Blaine is out today. And 615-737-1045 if you want to get in on the conversation. Of course, we have the F&M Bank chat on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. And if I'm talking too fast for you, I can't help it. I am hopped up on 2 energy drinks and Cam Ward. I am just all in on Cam Ward right now. I just can't help it. I got a draftees high, I guess you could say.
I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna get the old pigskin out of the garage. I'm gonna go out in the backyard and I'm just gonna sling it all over the place. People are probably gonna call the cops on me. Like, what is this weird man doing throwing a football by himself? But I'm ready to run through a brick wall.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Larissa, who wants to talk about Cam Ward. Larissa, you're on with Stoney and Zach.
Hi, guys. Happy day to all the listeners as well. And, again, great show. I was a little skeptical, I will say that. Because, when I say skeptical, the left hand doesn't always know what the right hand's doing. I think I called on the show and mentioned that yesterday. Because the NFL is always full of surprises. I mean, look at Shador, what's happening, and so on and so forth. But Cam, this young man is a hammer. I mean, he's all about the game. No fluff. He has no time for the attaboy compliments he will get. Every professional athlete is like, oh, we love you. This man came to play. And, what goes along with it, you can tell he does not have time for it. He has the old school thought process. I mean, he wants to do a great job. This is going to be good. He's like, yeah, okay, thank you. Just get me on the field.
Yeah.
Let me take care of business.
I love it.
I ain't got time for that. So,
yeah.
He's serious. And when he threw up the window shopping, that was everything. And if you guys have ever heard that song, then you know what he was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But, But anyway, I'll hang up and listen. This is going to be a great season.
I am with you, Larissa. And listen, thank you for the call. And I'm sorry if I just hung up on you by accident.
Nice.
I'm so terrible at that. I always think people are done. And they're definitely not done.
Let Larissa cook.
But I think what I love most, and she kind of brought it up, is like this mentality that he has, he's always going to be working for it, is that he also mentioned that the reason why he could stay so level-headed is because he's lost a lot on the football field, but also lost a lot off the field. And I'm sure he's talking about, personal situations and all that kind of stuff. 0-star recruit, obviously already included in that. Having to go out to 6 or 7 tryout camps and finally get spotted by Incarnate Word and all this stuff. And had to work
offense.
And had to work his way up. Like, that's what I want from a quarterback. I want a guy that's already experienced some, I don't want anybody to like lose family members or anything and have terrible adversity, but I like someone that's not afraid of adversity and knows that adversity can strengthen you.
Well, the thing that you hear from a lot of his former coaches is like each stop along the way, it was like he scratched and clawed to elevate this program to get to where he's at today. There's something special with him. So it's almost like we don't care what you need out of this kid. He's wired the right way. that he's going to see it, he's going to get it done. He's going to execute it.
Yeah, I am with you. Let's go to Ryan, who wants to talk about Cam. Ryan, you're on with Stoney and Zach.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So I wanted to go back to the Miami caller two callers ago. He was talking about some of the things Cam does, and I'm with him because I've been a Canes fan since '97.
Here we go.
I saw Ryan Clement. I saw Kenny Kelly. Then all the way up to Dorsey to Brad Kaya, and we have never seen, as Miami fans, they've never seen a player like Cam Ward. I kind of sat back last year and was like, hey, let's see what he does before we start getting too ahead of ourselves. But that Florida game, he showed it. I said, okay, what else can he do? And then the California game, whenever they played on the West Coast, it was a late game. They were down 21 points in the fourth quarter, and he made some mistakes early, but he had a level head, and just we've never seen a calmness in a quarterback like that at Miami. And then he comes back and leads them to win 39-38 in a thriller. I don't know if you guys remember that game or hearing about it, but it was just an instant classic for Miami fans to say, wow, we have a guy. And then see him, go through the draft process, and then you hear a lot of stuff about him and Shador, and then he just kind of separates himself and takes off, and it's just like, hey, we're getting the guy that we need. Because to me, he reminds me of, he's built like McNair, but he throws like Favre. Because he's not scared to thread the needle. He's not scared to throw it in there, but also he's not going to get discouraged, like a Will Levis did last year. And I loved Will, but there was just some times his confidence wasn't the best. So I think with Cam coming here to Tennessee, it's a great fit. I hope Callahan can get him right and get us going. And I'm looking forward to the future. So I'm going to hang up and listen. Thank you guys for taking my call.
No problem, Ryan. I mean, appreciate the insight. And I do remember the California game and all that kind of stuff. Because, listen, California's defense is legit.
I was about to say, bring it up. They've got guys that are going to be in this draft class. Noah Williams, Craig Woodson, Teddy Buchanan. In there, Marcus Harris, another defensive back.
So they got four defensive players that should get drafted.
And a really good scheme with Justin Wilcox there that gave Miami some fits early in that game. That is a game that a lot of scouts and analysts will point to and say, hey, if you want the Cam Ward experience, go watch that game. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but I'm going to profile that game on Stacking the Inbox this summer.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna,
I didn't know where you were going to go with it.
We're going to dig into the film.
I was looking for
one.
Jackson making sure he had the dump button ready. I don't know what you're going to say.
No. I want to go back to that game specifically, watch the film, take some clips, write about it, and share it on the website.
There you go. Okay. So last night it was reported by Adam Schefter that the Tennessee Titans were offered by the Giants their first-round pick this year, their first-round pick next year, and multiple picks. And I, of course, saw the people that were probably already a little down on Cam Ward when that news broke, thinking, why didn't the Tennessee Titans take that? And they, of course, said, well, we have a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's what they discovered in the process, because I want everybody to go back to something. Because I've seen a lot of people say, well, they could have done this. They could have taken this trade and then done this, and then they could do this and all this kind of. They could have signed this quarterback, or they could get all these offensive linemen in the draft and all this stuff. They knew at the combine, 20-minute interview, that this guy was legit.
Yeah.
They scheduled all the first top 4 draft prospects. We're talking Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Shador Sanders, and Cam Ward. Now, listen, I think Travis Hunter was the only one that couldn't make it before free agency started, but Cam Ward did before free agency started, and that should tell you everything. And it did. Like when we were covering at the SEC men's basketball tourney on that Friday when Brandon Allen got signed, I looked at Blaine. I go, this tells you right here, they're drafting Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And so they knew back then. A month ago, Cam Ward is calling Warren Moon about the number. And listen, some people have had issues with this whole conversation. Here's all I'm going to tell you, that it's between them two. It ain't between us.
It ain't between us. No,
they're two grown men.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, let them hash it out.
Yeah.
And I think that tells you a lot about the respect that he has for Warren Moon has for him, and the journey, and admires his journey growing up. But this is why they turned down kind of a limp offer. We don't know what those multiple picks were. Were they a third this year and a third next year? What were the multiple picks? But they shut it down because they knew who they had. That should make you feel good as a Titans fan. You should not be feeling negative about this team and this regime for turning down a trade offer because they found the guy.
Yeah.
The guy we've all been looking for, the franchise quarterback. Now, he's got to live up to it, but at the end of the day, their process was thorough, and their process came out with someone they have conviction on.
Yeah, and this is what I kind of hate. We were live last night. The instant reaction, microphone, camera in my face. I was asked if I would have taken it. I said, yeah, I probably would have taken the picks because my eval of Ward and Sanders aren't really that different. Having time to sleep on it, to think about it, I go back to my evals, like what we did for stacking the inbox. I'm very proud of. It's a lot that's based on analytics, data, stats, film study. It's a tape study basically. It doesn't take into account the character of the players other than stuff that's been widely reported because it's a blind spot in my evaluation process. So I never got the chance. I don't know, maybe we can do something about this, start hosting meetings of our own 30 visits.
Maybe we should.
Where we can sit down and get to know Cam Ward.
I do see these guys take interviews elsewhere on different radio shows.
I've had a couple in my day.
I mean, maybe we need to start doing that, you know, and figuring that out. Maybe have them on the casting couch and Football and Other F Word studio over here.
Yeah, I had a great discussion with Cole Strange of UTC a couple of seasons ago. But my point being, like, there is a blind spot there in the eval where we don't get to sit down and get to know these kids. And so for me, when I thought about what it meant that the Titans turn this trade offer down, all these multiple picks and extra first, at a time when we're tearing it down to the studs and we need to rebuild this entire roster back up. Not a quick turnaround kind of thing. You think they need all the draft capital they can get. So for smart football people, and I know there's some polarizing opinions there, but for smart people that are leading this organization right now to say, no, none of that's good enough, don't bother, don't even call us, we've made up our mind, it means the Packer way, Ron Wolf.
I
Conviction.
go back. And
they
listen,
have their franchise quarterback. That's what they believe. And if that's what they believe, then there's nothing more valuable in the NFL than that.
Because we're talking about Ron Wolf, and we're talking about conviction.
Yeah.
He was with the Jets when he scouted Brett Favre.
Yes.
And then when he got to the Packers in a position of power, he was convicted enough in his evaluation of Brett Favre, even though Brett Favre did not do anything for the Falcons.
Yes.
To go and trade a first-round pick a year later for Brett Favre.
Don't you think it's kind of
and that
serendipitous that we're talking about a player that some say has a little Brett Favre to him?
Right. And so I look at that and I say, this is the Packer way. This right here is the Packer way. They found their dude. And I go back to Brian Callahan saying, we walked out of our combine meeting with Joe Burrow and knew he was the guy. They canceled all their other ones.
Yeah.
They're in kind of a different place, but like they canceled all their other ones. This team is doing more thorough work, obviously. But he even said that he felt really good coming out of the combine meeting with Cam Ward. That means something. Now, he still has to perform on the field.
And there's issues to correct,
and
for sure.
I am all hopped up. And Van D Man put this in the chat. I'm all hopped up on Cam Fiend. But let me tell you, it's really hard to bet against this guy. I would not be the one. I would not want to be in the chat or driving in my car or on the radio calling in or even just on the radio in general or on TV doubting what Cam Ward's going to do, because I think you're going to look a little silly if you do. Now, maybe I'll look silly. But at least I'll look silly with all my friends that are hopped up on Cam Fiend like I am. When we come back, we'll talk about what the Titans can do tonight and on day 3. This is cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons. Got Stoney across from me on the way on 104.5 The Zone.
There are a lot of diagnoses out there, and there's a pill for everything. But not all diagnoses are accurate, and not all pills are good for you. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop. And when you got a diagnosis for European auto repair, get a second opinion before you make a major decision. And Eurofix is the home for second opinions. And before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair from a diagnosis, go to Eurofix. It could not only save your vehicle's life, but could actually save you from a lot of stress that can ruin your freaking weekend. And life's too short to get stressed out and angry. So be happy and go to Eurofix. And at Eurofix, you also get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. And not high-pressure sale tactics. And a 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And at Eurofix, you never pay dealer pricey because they're family-owned for 26 years. Located in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always don't blame it.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. Got Stoney Keeley with us of Sobros Network. StackingInbox.com. Hot Read Podcast. And, of course, Football Know That Words. And on Saturday, 11 a.m. till the Titans pick last, which, don't worry, we'll get you out of here in time, Jackson. You don't have to bring it up for the 50th time since we've decided to do this.
I've got puppies.
He's got puppies.
Hey, now.
Hey, now. I am just like, I'm all hopped up.
Yeah,
like,
I can't stop. Like
Cam Theme.
I have to catch myself because I don't know if you can see I'm over here just like swinging my feet. Like I'm just so antsy and energetic right now.
I mean, it's insane. Like woke up this morning. My wife left early to go up to Michigan for a bridal shower. And so I've been up for a while. And I drank a second Celsius on my way in. And I don't think I would have needed it after that press conference.
I don't know.
Could you imagine being negative right now about Cam Ward?
It's hard to, man.
Mel Kiper.
Mel Kiper is still and they've shut him in a closet somewhere, and he is still talking to no one about Shedeur Sanders.
He is rocking back and forth in the fetal position,
Yes,
just
he
whispering,
is. Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders, number one.
Yeah, let's just talk about this whole broadcast, by the way. First off, the baby stole the show, right? I mean,
has anybody checked on that baby? Kelvin Banks' baby?
Is that baby okay?
So listen, full disclosure, Stoney came in. He said, I haven't written any notes. The only notes for today's show is what?
Has anyone checked on the baby from Kelvin Banks' draft party? That was the first and only note I wrote down for this show.
That baby almost got dropped. It got kind of fumbled around.
Yeah, it's like you put it in a dryer.
Yeah, it's like she was going to Will Levis that thing to the defense. And then he just throws up on her. And then you have Shamar Stewart's dad talking about the Thanos chain.
I missed that one.
Oh, you got to go back and find that. That was really kind of cool. Shamar Stewart's not going to do anything in the NFL, but man, that was going to be memorable. That's one to put up on the wall because she probably won't have any stats. But I was not watching the ESPN broadcast. You know why? Because it's time for Mel Kiper to retire. I haven't listened to Mel Kiper for a couple of years on anything.
Yeah,
I mean, really,
yeah.
it's time. So I was watching the ABC broadcast with Nick Saban and all of them. I had them on mute because I'm listening on my laptop to Titans radio.
Sure,
because I am a Titans fan.
Mm-hmm.
So where am I going to get the best Titans coverage? Right
Titans
here
radio.
on 105 The Zone, Titans radio. They'll
Makes
be
all the
live
sense in the
6
world.
p.m. going to 9 p.m. Maybe a little bit later if the Tennessee Titans do a trade back. So for all of those people that have complained about the ESPN broadcast, because I heard Lucas do this, he went back and still stayed watching it. He's like, oh, well, I got really pissed off about Cam Ward's coverage on ESPN. I get it. Totally understand. Do not disparage that. I think that's something to get angry over. It didn't happen on my broadcast, but I don't have to worry about that. And then he's talking about, Mel Kiper is still talking about Shedeur Sanders at Malachi Stark's pick, which is in the later picks of the first round. Why are you still watching it? You've already hate Mel Kiper. Why are you hate watching and hate listening to Mel Kiper?
I don't know.
So it was pretty funny. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I was able to finish up with Titans radio, do a couple of things here, drive all the way back to Hermitage, Old Hickory area, and he was still talking about Shedeur Sanders when I walked in my front door and turned the TV on.
So, if you're going to complain about something, I'll tell you what I tell anybody that complains about a show or a radio station or anything like that. Take your remote, change channel.
Change the channel.
Turn it off.
Takes.
That doesn't apply here, though.
But it's like the people who complain about the broadcasters on Titans games. Well, put them on mute and listen to Coach Mack and Mike Keith. Now it's Coach Mack and Taylor Zarger now, but listen to Titans radio. That's why they have it. They have apps for it. You go buy. I'm sure a FM radio is $5 now, but just quit complaining about stuff that you can easily fix.
Yeah,
and that's my point.
For me, man, I listen to Coach Mack and Rhett on Titans radio. Their analysis is every bit the quality that you're going to get from these national guys.
It's better because the quality is because they do the work themselves.
They do the work, yeah, and it shows the deep knowledge base. Obviously, Coach Mack's experience in the NFL.
Yeah.
All of this knowledge, this wealth of knowledge that these two have, kind of focused through a Titans lens. You don't need anything else.
Right, you're a Titans fan.
Turn off Mel Kiper.
Yeah. Turn that. And I'm pretty sure he's a vampire anyway, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. We can't prove that he's not.
That is true.
When have you seen Mel Kiper outside the month of April?
Exactly.
It's a good question.
What does he do all year?
He's in a coffin, drinking blood. All right, let's go to Wayne, who wants to talk about Cam Ward. Wayne, you're on with Stoney and Zach.
Hey, you guys, good program. Excellent program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
I am glad to hear someone come on and talk rationally about being a performer. I put up with Brian Fitzpatrick and Joe Tannehill for too many years. I'm a big believer in the Titans. I even went to see them to Vanderbilt and the new stadium, season ticket holder. And I'm just so disappointed here lately that our fan base hasn't got behind the Nashville having a pro team here in our town. And to finally get a top draft pick, a potential. And I love Steve McNair, always had, always will. The guy's just tough. We need another tough player, and I think that's Cam Ward.
I'm with you, Wayne.
We can't have another 3-14 season. That will not fly. You'll lose the whole fan base.
I agree, Wayne. I appreciate it, Wayne. And listen, he's right.
Wayne's on the vibes, man.
He's on the vibes.
We're going to turn this thing around. That's what I was saying last night. The hope of the pick, when you get to know this guy, you hear him talk about how much he loves the game, wants to win. The hope is that you have been through rock bottom of this rebuild as a Titans fan, and we're going to turn it around. I love what he said about Steve McNair being a tough player. You hear Cam talk. He's got that tough mindset. To go back to what I said earlier, it feels like this is what this franchise needs right now. I'm with Wayne. The vibes are high.
Well, I look at it, too, with what Wayne said. I mean, it's not just what we suffered through last year. I mean, think about a couple of these seasons where we've suffered without a true franchise quarterback. And that's what this team been needing. And it's been needing this mental toughness. Like, I think they had that with Mike Vrabel because we've seen him win and pull out a lot of games that they shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. But I think that was because of Mike Vrabel's mentality.
Yeah.
But now you need players that can do that.
Well, it's an interesting dynamic because you think about like Mike Vrabel having that mentality, having to impart it upon the locker room. And I'm not saying that's necessarily what happened, but just theoretically in this exercise, if you don't have to impart that to begin with because it's all already intrinsically a part of your locker room, and half the battle's won.
Exactly. Well, so here's a couple of things from Justin Mello's article, which you can go to titansize.com. He goes, this is from Sam Brown Jr., the Miami wide receiver that he played with last year. He's the most unique quarterback I've ever played with. He knows how to demand greatness out of you while still being a respectful teammate. He just knows how to push the right buttons to get the best of you. I don't know how to explain it. It's like he's perfected how to pull the right strings. It's tough to even put into words. I'm just thankful I got to catch balls from him.
And that's kind of like the root of the Cam Ward magic, where we talk about him making these plays that he shouldn't make. It's like you have those sort of intangibles. You have that rapport with your teammates that it is kind of something that's hard to quantify and hard to track.
He also says culture and leadership was a recurrent theme throughout the conversations that Mello had with Jacoby George, Kyle Williams, Xavier Restrepo, and Sam Brown. This is what Jacoby George said. He's more than a football player. They're gaining a brother, a leader. He's going to help them win games. It won't be long before he establishes himself as the true leader in their locker room. He's going to have a positive impact. The Titans will only go up for here. Restrepo added, it won't be long before Cam changes the culture in that building. His impact on the franchise will be felt forever. From Incarnate Word to Miami, he just knows how to change a culture because he's a contagious guy to be around. I mean, from the janitor to the general manager, they're going to want to be around this guy all the time.
Which is what we were kind of talking about ourselves. Like we were a little lukewarm to start this process, and then you hear the guy talk, and it's like, man, I'm ready to run through a brick wall. That's the sort of contagious effect right there. We're not catching passes from him, but you know what I'm saying.
I look at like this, okay? We gotta come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to the phone calls first, so I'm going to have to bring us down to earth a little bit because I'm a little worried about this 35th overall pick. Let's go to Jeff, who wants to talk about trades. Jeff, you're on with Blaine and Zach, but with Stoney and Zach instead.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I hope you can hear me okay.
We can hear you.
Great. I just wanted to see, I know talking about trading back from 35 if we find a suitor to do so and try to pick up a third-round pick. What about the possibility of trading Levis if we can find a suitor and maybe Levis in a fourth and getting a third or something like that?
Yeah, I'm with you, Jeff. Thanks for the call. I do think Will Levis is on the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's up there to be tradable for somebody that may not believe in this draft class, but says, hey, he's got the arm talent. He's got the experience that I'm looking for. I can fix these things. We know the I can fix them mentality. I think there is going to be a market for Will Levis, and I would not be surprised, and this is not me saying I have inside knowledge or anything. I'm just saying, in general, I would not be surprised if he is dealt tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're trying to move him, just, find a potential suitor, just send him the Falcons game. I mean, we've seen Will Levis is capable of playing good football in this league. Well,
with the way the national media probably treats Tennessee Titans, probably the last game anybody in the NFL saw of Will Levis was that Falcons game.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy is like built in a lab to play quarterback. He has the arm strength. He has the sort of intangible physical traits that you can't really coach. To your point, we were talking about it earlier with this draft class and a guy like Jalen Milroe. We saw the Giants trade up to go get Jackson Dart, a big physical traits kind of guy. Will Levis has those traits. He's got experience in the NFL. That's going to be valuable to somebody that might not necessarily love this quarterback class. And like you said a second ago, Zach, it is the nature of the NFL where these coaches, somebody's going to look at him and they're going to say, I can fix him. The cost isn't going to be that great. So I think it's entirely possible that we see Will Levis traded.
Okay, so the Tennessee Titans go on the clock with the third pick of the second round currently, and I'm a little nervous. And it's not that I don't think they can't get a good player. It's just that if I were to guess, my sense is that player is going to be Donovan
Izaraku.
This
Based on the pronunciation guide from the Tennessee Titans.
Donovan Izaraku. Not that is a bad pick.
Yeah.
Because we will talk about what he is, but I think I'm going to see Luther Burden there on the board.
Yeah.
And they're going to go Donovan
Izaraku. We can just say.
We'll just call him D-Easy.
D-Easy.
You like it?
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
D-Easy.
D-Easy.
I think that's who it's going to be.
I
because
feel like
I think
that
the
way.
sense in the building is that what I know about D-Easy from what I have read is that he was described in Albert Breer's mock draft recently as a culture changer. So I Googled D-Easy, well, his full name though, and culture changer, and that's true. There's articles all about it. And I think with his leadership, his long-standing health, his really fast three-cone, he had a 4.19 three-cone. Just so you guys know, the fastest three-cone that I can remember is 3.93 by Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is like a foot shorter and 100 pounds lighter. So he's got elite athleticism, and he's got really good explosiveness and agility, and that matters. And I think he's got a full set of pass rush moves, unlike a last Boston College second-round edge rusher pick the Tennessee Titans, Matt. He's got a deep pass rush move. I just want Burden so bad. So I think I'm going to be very disappointed tonight because I don't think that there's really going to be an opportunity to trade, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you're talking about culture changers from everything that we've heard that has been reported publicly, it sounds like D-Easy is the guy, and it sounds like there are some character concerns with Luther Burden III. Now, I haven't found anything that's really elaborated beyond like the diva concerns that he doesn't play hard. He takes plays off when the ball's not coming to him and that sort of thing. I haven't heard anything that would be a real deal breaker for me personally. But with D-Easy, I think if you're looking for a guy to come in and help change the culture of your locker room, well, you got that guy on offense last night in Cam Ward. Do you pivot and get that guy on defense maybe as you're trying to rebuild this whole thing from the bottom up? I agree with you. I think he's got a deep bag of moves. He plays his tail off relentless style as a pass rusher, uses a long arm, a speed to power, swim move. He can take on tackles with the speed to bend around the edge before they can even react to it with his hands, burst off the line of scrimmage, violently fires his hands at his target, can run through a tackle's hands and stays active throughout the rep. This is a guy that I do think that you see the lighter, smaller frame for an edge rusher show up in situations when he takes a tackle head on. If that tackle is able to anchor, he does have difficulty getting those guys to budge, but there's a lot in his toolkit that looks like a successful, well-rounded, robust skill set kind of edge rusher that I do think would be a good pick for the Titans.
Well, just so everybody knows, he's tied for one of the highest run stop percentages in this edge class, 10.1% run stop rate. And then he is 5th highest in tackles for loss. So the reason I bring up those two up, 21. Abdul Carter led the NCAA with 24. The reason I bring those up is because those translate to the NFL. So what this should tell you is that he will have a relatively high run stop rate, which the Tennessee Titans desperately need someone that can set the edge. But not only can he do that, he does have 21 tackles for a loss. And if you don't have double digits, your likelihood of succeeding in the NFL is bad. But when you have like 21, he's up there with Abdul Carter, David Walker, Mike Green, and JTT out of Ohio State. So that's pretty good company. And that's to me, when you look at it, I think this is the guy, because I don't think that they're going to bring in a guy with any kind of red flags. And I would say, if I get the sense that Mike Green is probably off their board.
That's the sense I get as well. It is, according to our trusty pronunciation guide, Tui Moloau.
Tui Moloau.
JTT from Ohio State.
JTT. Yeah. And we got D-Easy from Boston College. So if I were a betting man, if there was a stick and pick kind of bet you can make, I would say you would go D-Easy over Luther Burden. And I understand. Listen, Luther Burden is my favorite wide receiver in this draft class, not named Travis Hunter.
Same here.
But I do think that they're going to choose D-Easy over Luther Burden. Let's go to Evan real quick. Evan, you're on with Stoney and Zach.
Hey, guys. Hope y'all are doing well. Just wanted to help out real quick. It's Donovan Ezeraku. That's how you pronounce that last name there. So
that's what we've been saying the whole cycle.
But that's not what this says.
The pronunciation
from the
guide,
Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, the emphasis is on the Ezeraku.
Yeah, I just always envision it as rock star. At the end of the day, that's how I remember it. But kind of a quick aside, but also a related question. Totally get him setting the culture on the defensive side of the ball, and obviously I've heard great things about his character. At the end of the day, though, with Jeffrey Simmons and what he represents, shouldn't he be the one taking the charge on that? Just wanted to get y'all's thoughts.
I mean, he should be, but I think he has yet to do that. I get the sense that he's more Taylor Lewan-esque when it comes to leadership, and it's just that he's the guy that's kind of like the face of the defense and all this kind of stuff, but I've never gotten the sense that he's the guy that breaks the huddle down, right? And sometimes just being the loudest person isn't that guy. But I do agree, he should be the one.
Yeah.
I just think that they need more than what he has given them in this scenario, in this category.
And I mean, this isn't a knock on 98 at all, who I have often said is the best defensive tackle. I just wonder, now you're going into like season 6 here. So like, is it possible that they are starting to think about like the next wave of Titans and maybe to start kind of grooming for a new look team within the next couple of years as well? Maybe growing into that role where there is like an established leadership base here, but finding the next guy that can step up and take over.
And I will also say this, like you said, we're going into year 6 and we're still asking questions. Shouldn't he be the one to step up and do this? Well, if you're still asking that, I think you got your answer right there, in my opinion. But I'll say this, look at the Rams, right? The Rams, they still have a relatively old team in key spots, but they are building guys and drafting guys to replace other guys and push other people out the door so they can keep contending. Mm-hmm. This is the you're building the foundation of a rebuild, and to do that you need young leaders that can come in now and help establish the culture that didn't really couldn't really get established last year because there was a lot going on. Bring in these guys that have a history of culture change. And before we go to break, I do want to say this. According to Dane Brugler's guide, it's Ezeraku.
Well,
So
listen,
just want to throw that out.
I'm not calling out the Titans pronunciation guide.
This says Ezeraku right here.
That's what I've heard. Like, listen.
Yeah.
I
guess we'll have to hear it tonight. When we come back, we're going to talk about day 3. We're also going to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars and James Pierce Jr. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop, Zach Lyons, Stoney Keeley on the other mic on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop, Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Last call for phone calls. But I do want to say this. If you're looking at people to trade back with, New Orleans Saints would make a lot of sense. They have 2 third-round picks. I would think that would be a prime target. They still are unsure of their quarterback situation, but they didn't want to spend in the first round on a quarterback. Maybe they do here because they were trying to play the game. We'll see about that, but that's one. But let's talk about day 3. And we'll get to Wayne here in just a second, but day 3. Isaac Tesla is a name to watch because I would bet that if he is still there in the 4th round, that he would be the guy that they would pick at the top of the 4th in with that if they pass on a wide receiver in the 2nd round or don't get one in the 3rd.
Yeah, he's a dog too. I mean, that is I like a guy that'll run right by you and then turn around and puff his chest out at you a little bit. Really good Senior Bowl. We watched him there. That epic 2-minute drive that Seth Hennigan orchestrated with the touchdown pass to Jack Besh to win it. Tesla had a couple of good catches on that drive where he showed the length, the frame, where he can go up and pluck the ball out of the sky. Tested really well at the combine, but this is a guy that Arkansas looked at and said, we're only going to play this guy in the slot for some reason. There's some really untapped potential to play him inside and outside. I'm a big fan of his game. I think he's going to be a steal for whoever gets him.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that his draft stock is soaring, not because of what he put on tape or because of his athletic testing or the Senior Bowl. It's because I talked about him.
We did this.
You can literally go see on mock draft consensus or mock consensus.
Mock draft database?
Mock draft database.
Yeah.
And you can see players, rise and fall.
Mm-hmm.
The week of the Senior Bowl is when he starts to rise. And the more that we have talked about Isaac Tesla, the more that he's gone from undrafted free agent before the Senior Bowl and before anybody talked about him. And then once I talked about him, he went to the 7th. He went to the 6th. Now he's up in the 4th, borderline 3rd round prospect. And I have to say, it's all because of me.
I will say to our listeners that want to get a kind of taste of what this guy's all about, I'm sure his game, his touchdown against Texas A&M this past season is on YouTube somewhere. I'm sure you can find it up there. Really good indication of what he's good at. Fighting through contact out of the slot, staying balanced, taking his lane up the middle of the defense, breaking out, making a catch over his shoulder, finishing by accelerating up the sideline for a touchdown. Nobody could catch him. Is a little bit of everything that he does well wrapped up into one play.
They don't know how to use anybody down there, and they only played him in the slot.
They only had him.
Well, that's why they had 34 players transfer out this year. 34 players transferred out.
Dude is 6'4", 214 pounds, and they rarely that I saw played him outside of the slot.
Okay,
they had another guy there too, and Andrew Armstrong.
So we gotta go quick on these. So these got to be short, stony nuggets. Okay, give me another 4th round player, 1 5th round player, 1 6th round player that should be on everybody's radar.
Ty Robinson, defensive lineman out of Nebraska. I'm going to go Chimere Dike, the wide receiver out of Florida. A little more of a physical, maybe X guy, untapped potential out of that offense as well. And then I'm going to say Upton Stout, the defensive back out of Western Kentucky, who you've talked quite a bit about on this show.
Love it. Let's go to Wayne, who wants to talk about Cam Ward. Wayne, you're on with Stoney and Zach.
Hey, guys, I want to see an offensive line that appeals people to stand in front of Cam Ward out there and just knock people down. I want Joe Jacoby, Wes Grin, Bostic. I want the ugly.
I like it.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking,
Wayne.
Do you have, Wayne, if you'll just hold on real quick, listen on the radio. But, Stoney, do you have someone that could be that guy in day 3 that is like a in-your-face, mow-you-over kind of guy?
Yes, I think there's a couple of guys. My favorite is Jalen Travis. The guy is just mammoth, just a road grader. He is built to mow people down, just like Wayne was talking about. Go fire up some Iowa State tape, Wayne. Maybe we'll see a little Jalen Travis magic this weekend.
There you go. Okay, here we go. James Pierce Jr. went to the Falcons.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people hate on the Falcons for giving up a future first-round pick, just like they all hated on them for drafting Michael Penix Jr. last year, which actually worked out for them in their favor.
Yeah.
I love the trade. I think here's where I'm at, is that we know, because everybody talked about, is that James Pierce Jr. they did a lot of homework on James Pierce Jr., Atlanta did. And then Jalen Walker fell, because James Pierce Jr. was a very popular pick yesterday from all the insiders at 15. And Jalen Walker was supposed to go to the Panthers.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And he fell. And then they were like, wait, our pass rush has been so crappy that we have to get another guy. And this guy's right there. And we've done the homework. We know who he is. We know what he can be. We're going to draft him. And I love the trade. I just wanted to put that out there because I know a lot of people are going to hate on it. I love the trade.
I'm happy you're happy, but you're a lot higher on Pierce than I am. And so that first-round pick is a little rich for my blood. I will say where I do think this works is that it puts Pierce in a situation where he doesn't have to be the guy right away, can kind of develop. They can work with the traits, teach him a little more consistency, iron that aspect of his game out, and Jalen Walker can be the guy on the other end that really gets after the quarterback. Yep. It's a good setup.
It's a good setup. Last thing, I know everybody's freaking out about Travis Hunter being in the division. I wouldn't worry. His body has been in a high altitude climate. Now he's going back down to Florida. He'll have a hard time adjusting just because of the lower sea level down in Florida.
I like that take. That's the kind of big brain analysis that you come to Cover 2 for.
That's right. That will do it for us. 3HL's up next. They're live from where, Jackson?
6th and Peabody.
6th and Peabody. They're down there, so stop by and see them, hang out with them. I think they may have Cam Ward on the show
at some point.
So there you go, Cam Ward. More Cam Ward talking to you, the fans, over on 3HL right here on 104.5 The Zone. I think that's it. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons. Stoney Keeley, thank you for joining me.
We're not going to say the thing?
Well, we are. SoBrosNetwork.com,
okay.
StackInTheInbox.com, all that jazz. Thank you guys for listening to 104.5 The Zone. Man, well, how would you grade the show, Jackson, just real quick?
I'm going to give you guys a B+ Yap Fest.
Oh, man, we deserve better.
Someone check on Kelvin Banks' baby.
There you go. Someone check on that baby. But in the meantime.
And in between time, peace.